If you want to help Myth Vision Podcast grow, you can join our Patreon. There are different tiers, as well as help out with PayPal. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Question, I guess you can call it that, from Sandro Luciani. And Sandro says, if you don't believe in the Gospels and Jesus, why do you waste your time reading each phrase of the Gospels? Why don't you waste your time attacking Isa, the Islamic Jesus, or any Indian God? The Jews in YouTube are always attacking the biblical Jesus, and they never attack the Islamic Isa. Why don't you defend what you believe, or defend what you believe, instead attacking only Jesus? As the Gospels say to Paul, Robert Price, why are you persecuting me? So then, I gotta keep going for you to hear. This person, Sheriff Faithy, I've asked the question for this, Faithy or Fathi. I'm Muslim. Isa is in Islam, has never been on a cross. Sandro Luciani says, Isa has never been anywhere, because Isa never was born. It is only an Arabic comic of the 7th century. Only a bad copy of Jesus. However, Muslims as D-Dot, famous in YouTube, the famous D-Dot is like a Muslim apologist who died, believed the theory of the swoon, Jesus on the cross alive but like dead. In Islam, any theory is accepted to reject the cross. Each Muslim invents his own theory. Other Muslims like other theories, like Judas or Simon or Phantom on the cross. This is Arabic marketing. All customers are satisfied. Ordinary Walker wrote, wow, I didn't know Robert Price appears in the Bible. It must have been updated. What are your thoughts, Dr. Bob? Why thou persecutest me?
Well, I don't think I am. I tend to think that Jesus didn't exist as a historical individual, but certainly largely a noble character. But I was driven to this over many years by the zeal and hunger to understand the Bible better, which still motivates me. I eventually found that I kind of knew too much to stick with Orthodox evangelicalism. It just didn't seem to fit, and I would have to continue to force the Bible into the narrow categories of my inherited theology. I just felt like, well, I can't do that. I'm at a crossroads. I have to go with what I perceive, like it or not, to be the truth about this. You don't hear me saying Jesus was teaching bad stuff and all that. It's not a question of that. And it's so I'm not criticizing the belief in God, though I don't share it. There's a difference between being some sort of fanatic who wants to attack other people's views. I will treat critically other things that are adjacent enough to it for me to know enough about it. Like with Islam, I am interested in the historical origins of the Quran and whether there really was a Prophet Muhammad, and there are a lot of similar questions there to really crack open the traditional Islamic Orthodox account of their origins and their interpretations of the Quran. Jesus appears in the Quran, and it's obviously supposed to be the biblical Jesus. Or you would never have these statements about how he really didn't die on the cross, unlike what Christians think. So they're taking a dissenting view of the crucifixion story, which they don't deny. They just have a different outcome, that it was somebody else. So I think but the Orthodox Muslims do not believe in the swoon theory. The ones who do are the Ahmadiyya sect, that is a fairly late arrival on the scene, founded by somebody, Ghulam Ahmad. I'm leaving out a couple of his names in the middle there, but he claimed to be the returned Mahdi and the second coming of Christ, and his followers believed him. And they do have a very noble religion. Often they're interviewed on TV simply as representatives of Islam, which is not quite right. Because other Muslims regard them as a despised sect, a heresy. But I've got nothing but good to say about them. I don't accept their view, and yet in some ways it's a strong interpretation of certain odd facts in the Gospels. But there's no way to know what happened back then. And I don't think Muslims are simply at liberty to make it up as they go along, because you know how intolerant the establishment is. You could be taking your life into your hands. And so some do, but most dissenters, of course, become secularists. They don't stick with Islam at all. Then there are many sort of peaceful Muslims, especially in this country, who are not dangerous zealots because they've assimilated into the Western way of life. And that's good. So they're not explicitly denying it. They just don't get all worked up as many do. I find Islam fascinating, and it's, I don't want to attack it. I do want to critically analyze it. Same with Judaism and the Old Testament. I think there's virtually no historical element in it. It's all myth and legend and so forth. Also, there's a lot of great wisdom in it. And that doesn't make me anti-Semitic. I am a real backer of the state of Israel. I know a lot of my liberal friends will think that's outrageous, but tough luck. And it's not because of the Bible or God. I'm not a believer in God, but I am a believer in Western democracy, and that's the only game. Israel is the only game in town in the Middle East, if you want that, and so forth. I'm for Western civilization, and that's the big outpost there. So I don't accept the characterization of my being anti-religious, anti-God, or anti-Judaism, Islam, or Christianity. With Buddhism and Hinduism, those are vast oceans which I know a good bit about, but I've not gotten into like criticism of the Bhagavad Gita. That's a big cottage industry of saying, well, this passage was original to it, this was added later. I'm not near learned enough in that to do it, but I have studied the Bible with critical method for over 40 years, and I wouldn't have done that if I didn't love it, which I do.